Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended, and I have one that should help you out a ridiculous amount. So, Ark has completely redone how mating exists inside of its game. There are some similarities, but largely the system has been completely overhauled. I'm going to show you from step 1 to step infinity, right? The end of the process. How to get your breeding lines to get insane, overpowered, mutated, super awesome, colorful dinos. Now, they're going to be super dinos, so you can do what you want with that. I'm going to start from square one, and as the video gets longer, I'm going to complicate things and say, here's how you complicate it, here's how you adjust for it, and here's all the things you can do, right? All right. So before we start, if you don't mind, smash that like button. Consider leaving a comment below with anything you agree or disagree throughout the entire video. It helps the algorithm. And then lastly, if you don't mind, smack that subscribe button. My goal all along and my dream has been to get to 100K so I can get that lovely little play button, and it costs you nothing. So if you don't mind, sub to the channel. That would mean a ton. So anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So what is breeding in Ark Survival Evolved? Step 1, you have a male and a female dino or creature, and you use the enable mating on them. Now those then will breed. There's no cheeky emotes, even though they had some for a while. They got rid of them, and basically a baby dinosaur pops out, or a baby creature pops out, and that creature splits the stats that its mother and father will have. Now those stats are split to have the better stat 55% of the time. So if I have a statistic and I look at the dinos, half of the stats are basically going to come from the father and half from the mother, but there's a slightly higher chance it's going to get the better stat between the two parents. So what are stats, right? In order to see stats, you can use the binoculars that have been introduced into this game. And you can see that on the right-hand side of my screen, this is a level 1 Ecus. Now, there are 3 rows on the far right. The far left of those 3 is the total number of points that individual creature has into a statistic. Because this is a level 1, there are 0 points across the board. If I was to hypothetically go look at this guy right here, right, you can see that on that left row of those 3 on the right hand side, you can see 28, 22, 26, 27, 25. Those are the wild points that horse, this specific creature, has been placed randomly into that stat. It's totally random on that far left side. Now, the middle row, just so you guys understand, is the mutation row. Now, I'm just going to show you a dino that is mutated. You can see this one right here is mutated. If you look at the carry weight of this specific Ecus, there are 2 points in it, meaning 2 levels of mutation into the carry weight. So this one has a 364 carry weight, whereas a normal level 1 Ecus, you can see it right here, has a 350 carry weight. So mutations are a good thing. They're a very good thing. You can increase your stats of your dinos, and that's really powerful. Now, the far right column, what does that mean? The far right column, you can see I put 2 points into this direwolf's health, meaning that the 2 points have been added by me when it levels up. So the 3 rows in total are the total points earned from the wild statistics on the far left. The middle row is the total number of mutated points inside of that statistic on that dinosaur. And then the far right row is the points that you have placed into it. All right, so now you understand that point system. That is what I'm going to use to describe the rest of this video. So before I started this video, I took a male and a female horse and I enabled them to have offspring, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and get this one closer so you can see what it looks like when that happens again. So this is going to take a little bit. They're at 3%. But the results were over here. Now I've got a guaranteed mutation on some of these horses and not a guaranteed on one of them. This is the one that did not have a guaranteed mutation on it, right? It absorbed both the parent stats from the mother and the father. So if I go into show ancestors, I can see it's got 2 parents. It's not a wild horse. It has 0 paternal mutations and 0 maternal mutations. Now, what that means is this horse did not get any perks. It just picked up the stats from the parents. There are no bonuses overall. However, these horses over here did pick up perks. You can see they're all level 3 instead of level 1. So just like I showed you on this far right horse, it's got a mutation in the weight of it. I'm going to go ahead and show you the ancestors. You can see I have 1 random mutation on the maternal side. Now, the reason that's a big deal, right, is because that bonus point that exists inside of it. It doesn't matter where the point is. You can see this one is in health. This one has 2 points in health. because it's got 2 levels into health. You can see that's also on the maternal side. Now, this one, just so you can see it, right, also has another mutation on the paternal side for this one, so you can get it on both sides. Now, this guy right here also has it in health. So it's got a paternal and maternal from the parent, from the male and female. And you can see this one's got a mutation in food, and this one has also a mutation in food. So these are actually twins, by the way. Twins statistically happen at a really reduced rate, and then triplets are also technically possible. You cannot get more than triplets, but twins and triplets both do happen with heightened chances, from what I understand, if they already exist in a twins or triplets line. Now, you can see the twins right here. These two basically have a low chance of having twins, but they will have the exact same statistics. They will be identical twins. There are no such thing as fraternal twins in Ark. It's always identical, right? So you can see that these things have now completed their breeding process. I'm going to go ahead and back it up so you can see all 3 of them are guaranteed to have mutated babies. Now, there we go. So there's one that's green, one that's yellow, and then one that's kind of like a lamish color, I'm going to call it. All right, so with the horses that I'm currently using right now, I'm going to try and get this one out. I'm not sure I can. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So there's an example horse, right? There's one right there, and here's a yellow one right here. So we just had a successful breeding session between a male and a female horse inside of Ark. Sounds kind of weird to say, but that's how it is, right? Now, what happened, right? We get the baby out of the mix. Once the baby shows up and we have that horse present inside of this game, we are able to use said horse. Now, all 3 of these came from different mothers with the same father. So let me back up a second here, right? So unlike real life, in Ark, whether they're the same father, same mother, brother, sister, any of that shenanigans, that does not increase the probability of a mutation. That is just a real life thing, not a horse thing in Ark. Now, in Ark, mutations are pretty much always a good thing. So you saw that all 3 of these got a random mutation. This one got it in weight, this one got it in health, and this one got it in oxygen. Great, super useless. I'm going to move this guy back just a second here. So we just saw all 3 of these pop out. Now, yes, again, we got the mutations. One thing that you want to know is that whenever you get a mutation, there is also a color mutation on the actual horse's body. So you can see that this specific horse right here, even though none of the parents have a green hide to it, this one is now green. This one is yellow and picked up a yellow mutation. And then this one picked up like a teal blue kind of spiky looking thing on its back. So every time you get a mutation, it's always going to be in a value of 2, never in a value of 1. It's always going to be plus 2 levels. And it always has a color mutation inside of it as well. Now that could be a totally random color, by the way. It doesn't have to be a color that's present. It can be in something that doesn't show, but there will always be a color plus a level 2 upgrade in their overall statistics. So what have we gone over so far, right? These are all level 1 horses. In order to increase their stats, they have mutations, increasing that per plus 2 levels per mutation. Now the maximum number of mutations that you can have in something is 20 on the maternal and the paternal side, right? So you cannot get more than 20 mutations. After 20 mutations, the mutations just stop happening. They multiply, but they don't actually exist. It's just randomized, essentially. You can't control anything. So if you have a mutation in a horse from level 1 to level 3, right? If you have no mutations, which is much more probable, right here, you can see this guy, this one did not have a mutation. No stats are increased at all. It stays the same as the parents. Now, all of that's great and all, right? So what's the percentage of a mutation? Assuming it's the same as Ark Survival Evolved, the percentage of a mutation is about 5% from what I understand. So if you have a total of 20 offspring, one of them has a chance to be mutated. Now, because I have a mod that changes that and gives me guaranteed mutations, I have 100% mutations on some of these horses. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring them all over just so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's start wrapping up a little bit more of what we've done here. So now we know that we have, anytime you get a mutation, it's always going to be plus 2 levels and a color change. You can see that every single one of these horses has a randomized color added into it, right? You've got that kind of cool yellow, blue, green, red, purple. I don't even know what happened to these two, but they got something, and they're identical twins. But you can see that's what happens when you get a mutation, okay? that's the result. Now, after this, what happens next? So great, Teach. I know what mutations are. I know what they do. How do I make more mutations? And that's actually pretty simple. So now we have a horse with a mutation, right? I want to pick one that's good. I want a health mutation, so I want to increase this guy right here. I want to bring this one and start a breeding line with this specific horse, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, and I would normally want to increase the stats, but I don't care for the purpose of this video. I'm going to bring a level 1 female horse up to it, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to try and get this health stat onto a female horse because I want to be able to, let's go ahead and behavior enable mating on this guy. When I have the high health stat plus another Equus, right? What's going to happen is there's a 55% chance that it's going to get the higher statistic. So I'm going to go ahead and get that statistic onto this horse. Now this horse has 0% chance of mutation, and so does this guy. So the chance of us getting mutation is almost non-existent right now. But it's going to go through all of their stats individually and see who has the higher stats. It's going to roll it randomly, and then it's a 50-50 split minus 5%, right? So whoever has the higher stat has a tiny bit higher chance of giving that statistic to the offspring. So this offspring is either going to be level 1 because it's going to have all the mother stats, or it's going to be level 3 because it's going to get the stat from the parent, the father. Now I'm also going to bring one more in here because I want to bring in a cheat horse, right? This one has guaranteed mutations, so we're going to add in another layer of fun onto this video. So we're going to go ahead and, yep, enabled mating on that, so we're good to go. So you can see this one's at 52%. Now, the reason that this one's considered like a cheat, right? So the mother is guaranteed to give a mutation on this one. So if it keeps the mother's statistic and the father's statistic, instead of being level 3, it's now going to be level 5 because it's going to get a bonus 2 levels from the mother and a bonus 2 levels from the father. It's also possible, however, where it does not get anything from the father, only a mutation from the mother, and stays level 3, but has a boost in a different level. Now, I know that just added a whole different amount of craziness to this video, but there's a reason behind me saying that, because I'm going to show you as soon as I see this guy right here. So we've got 85%, right? This one is a no mutation, but it is an offspring, so we're going to move it to the side. Now we're on this level 1 guaranteed mutation. On this one, the probability is like less than 5%. If I get one right now, I might go play the lottery or something because the probability is like non-existent. So, all right, so 99%, this one should have a baby right now. You can see that they just bred, it's gestating, and now we have a baby. And survey says it is a level 1 Equus, right? So it picked up the skin, the yellow color from the father. However, it did not pick up any of the statistics from the father, which is entirely possible. And it's actually kind of good that that happens, so you guys can see what I'm talking about with that, right? So let's back up this horse, and we'll move this one out of the way so we don't keep having more horses that are unmutated, because there's no value to that, for this video at least. So again, just like the statistics, the individual statistics from the horses, the colors that they can inherit from the parents are also randomized. So this one did not pick up the health of the father. However, it picked up that yellow color from the father. And you can see it's a roll because it doesn't have the black feet. It's got the brown feet that one has right there. So it picked up colors mixed between the two. However, it did not get a mutation. So this is a really cool example of there's no guarantee of a mutation, right? Ah, perfect. See, now we're freaking talking. All right, so now let's complicate it a little further, right? Let's go ahead and disable breeding on this guy for a second. All right, so now we've got an example of, we've got a level 3 mutated male horse. We've got a level 1 unmutated horse that is his offspring. So see how he did not roll the statistics of the health on the father here, right? You can see that this one's health is 336, and this one's health is, even though this is the father of this horse, it didn't roll the health. So it got the 45% chance from the mother over there, which means that no statistic went up. However, when I took a mutated horse, right, this level 3 plus 2, an unmutated one with a guaranteed mutation off of it, I get a level 5 out of it. Now, why do I get a level 5? Because it picked up the statistic from the father. It's got the +2 levels into health, and it's also got +2 levels into oxygen from a random mutation. So now, instead of having a level 1 horse that I started with and another level 1 horse, I now have a level 5 horse without any levels being put into it because we're getting a random roll, right? So now we've got a level 5 female Ekus, right? Now, this is how it starts getting out of control quickly because people can kind of go crazy with this stuff. If I bring up these two and I enable mating on the both of them again, behavior, enable mating, behavior, enable mating. There we go. All right. So now we're going to move this one over here. We've got our examples. You guys hopefully are tracking so far. We've got our cheat code on this one. I'm going to go ahead and add a guaranteed mutation roll to both of these guys. It's a mod that I can use. And so that way we can get a guaranteed double mutation out of this, which is also possible. So we have the father statistics as a level 3 horse with a +2 overall health. And then the mother statistics is a +2 health because it's got the same one as the father. And it's also got an additional 2 levels into oxygen. So that means it's got a level 5 overall. So now that these two are breeding, they're going to have at least a level 3 horse is the minimum because it rolls each stat individually. So if it rolls health, they have the same health. So it's guaranteed to get the 336. And then it's going to roll evenly between the rest of them. Here's where it gets kind of crazy. You can see that the paternal side mutations on this guy is 2, right? So now because instead of just having the 1 mutation, we have the health and the oxygen mutation. That is why we have level 5. Now, technically speaking, as soon as this one rolls out, if it was to keep random stats, totally random, right? It's guaranteed to have the health, so the minimum level we're going to have is a level 3. It's got a 55% chance of rolling the mother statistics of the oxygen, so it could be up to level 7 or level 5. Now, if it gets another, sorry, it's my bad, level 5, if it gets both the better stats. Now, because we know for sure we're adding a mutation from both sides, you need to add 4 more levels in. So the maximum level that we can get off of this guy per mutation, we have 2 so far. We're adding up to a total of 4 is 9. We could have up to a level 9 baby and as low as level 7 if it doesn't roll the better stats. Now, I know that got really confusing really quickly, so I'm going to let this thing be hatched, and then I'm going to go ahead and explain to you what exactly I just said. And 3, 2, 1, there's the gestation process, behavior, and we're going to disable mating on this guy. All right, so we got a lower end thing, so that's perfect actually. So we're going to go ahead and actually leave him on breeding so we can see if we can get a better one anyways. Behavior, enable mating. All right, so now, just so you can see, we got a new horse, right? Now this horse right here has a random colored purple legs, slightly more purple than this guy. It's like a cyan looking color. It's a 201 instead of a 200 or whatever it is. And now we know it's even higher of a level, right? So we have the +2 and then the +4. So we got a mutation in health, a mutation in food, and a mutation in oxygen. So those 3 mutations add 6 levels. So now instead of having a level 1 horse, we have a level 7 horse, right? Now let's go ahead and look at the actual buffs and the ancestors. We have 2 mutations from the maternal and 2 from the paternal. So we have a total of 4 mutations on this guy, even though it doesn't seem like that. Why would that be the case? It's very simple. They have a doubled up same mutation, which kind of sucks. It happens very rarely, but it does happen. So both of the mutations were in the same stat, which means that it counteracted each other and only counts as 1 mutation. So that is why we have 4 mutations, but only a total of 3 stat increases. So now we've got a level 7, and then this guy is going to take, how long does it need to, before it's ready to mate again? A minute? Okay, we're going to go ahead and enable mating on this guy, and we're just going to make this a little bit more confusing, right? So hopefully you're tracking everything so far, because we've gone over the fact that 1 + 1 doesn't always mean that you have a higher level outcome. It's only a 5% chance overall statistically to get a mutation, which means that you get a level 3 because you get +2 levels each time you get that mutation. Now, if you add that mutation plus another mutation, you get a level 5 horse or a level 5 dinosaur. And then if you add that with another mutation, it goes up another one to level 7. It's not guaranteed because we're talking about the fact that it's a 55% chance to roll the higher statistic, right? So the reason that these two are going to be a great example is because this isn't guaranteed to have the higher statistics at all. It's not even close to guaranteed. I'm going to go ahead and add one of these in just to make it a little more fun. It could inherit the mother's or the father's stat. So it can inherit the father's lower stat for food and then also get a mutation in food, being level 9 or level 7, but having an extra mutation in that statistic. So see, he's got the double mutations, 2 and 2 and 1. Now, what we call those, I mean, if you want to call them whatever you want, those are usually throwaway lines because you don't want to have more than 20 mutations. After 20 mutations, you can no longer get bonuses and you kind of have to clear the whole system. So everything's confusing now, right? Hopefully you're nice and confused because yeah, that's kind of how this works. So we've got also both of these things pumping out. So let's get this one last thing and then I'll add in another layer for you guys and we'll kind of move on to the next step. So we've got both these horses breeding. We've got level 7 and level 5. It is possible to have a maximum of a level 7 horse and still get more mutations because the mutations didn't go with the father statistics, but they also, so they didn't go with the father. They went to father's lower stats, but they got the mutation, meaning they got the same level with the same statistics, but more mutations. Whew, that was a lot to say. So now we're going to find out we could have up to a total of 4 more mutations on these two. There's the gestation. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this one out real quick. There we go. Perfect. Ah, see, now we're talking. Now we're adding the confusion in. Perfect. That's what I wanted to see. So notice how we have a level 5 Ecus now, right? So we have the guaranteed statistic of the father with the health mutation. And then we've also rolled all crappy stats across the board and gotten an additional melee mutation on the bottom. See how the mother has no melee mutation and the father has no melee mutation at all. So it rolled the bad stats in general. It has more mutations, but less stats. So see what I mean? There should be a total of 6 mutations on this, but because they're bad mutations and they're hidden mutations, they go on to stats that don't count for it because it rolled the crappy stats. A 55% chance of the better stat doesn't mean you're going to get it every time. It means you're very rarely going to get it actually. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn off mating on this guy. We're going to disable mating because hopefully we can... Okay, there we go. That's a good one. So there's a level 7. All right, so we got the color of the father on this one. Let's go ahead and rotate here. There we go. All right, so now we've got a nice little mess. We've got this horse, which came from that one and split the difference between the two because even though it picked up a mutation, it got a lot of crappy stats. So that is considered a bad horse. We would not want to keep that one because it's just, it's muddied at this point. It's got 6 mutations and only 2 bonus levels. Now this one, right? So we got the health statistic, which we wanted. We also got a mutation inside of oxygen. And we also got a mutation inside of weight. So all of this being said, the reason I'm kind of making this mess right here is because I'm trying to show you what happens when you just randomly breed things together without any purpose, okay? When you randomly breed these things together, you are not guaranteed anything at all. You want to make sure you're tracking it because otherwise you end up with situations like this where you have little level gain with more wasted mutations. Because what should happen if you're doing this properly, you want to aim to get a whole bunch of points in one category. And the ones that produce a mutation that you don't want, you immediately get rid of those or use those as something you ride or use and spay or neuter them, okay? The reason we want to do that is because we want to have that 2 go to a 4, and that 4 go to a 6, and 8, then 12, then 20, then 20. Keep going higher and higher because the more mutation points we can get into something, the better off we are. Now, what happens when you take this outside of a level 1? Because you're probably like, Teach, what's the value of actually having any points in any statistic? The reason that it matters, and it doesn't matter what level your dino is because statistics carry on no matter what, okay? So this is a level 150 female horse. I don't know if I'm going to roll the higher probability of a mutation, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this one over here and enable mating on it. Enable mating and enable mating on this guy. So what you can do is you can take these statistics from the middle on this guy and add them into the middle on this guy and make a better overall horse. Even though I only have a level 150 and a level 3, this one could end up being a level 152 baby because it could add those mutation points into a offspring of this one. Yep. That probably sounds really freaking confusing, and it is. It really is, because they've kind of changed how everything works when it comes to mutations. I'm going to go ahead and add in one more horse here to add in some fun. Let's see if we can get a rolled female off of this one just to add in a possibility that it'll happen. Okay. So none of these horses have a guaranteed mutation chance. See, I don't have the 1x above them. That means that they're totally random, so we've got like a 5% chance of a mutation off of this. This one has a mutation in health. This one is a wild horse, so it has 0 mutations anywhere on its entire body. So what should happen is there's a 55% chance. So if I have 1 and 2, these horses are probably going to, one of them is going to give me a level 152 horse, because it's going to take the statistics, the rolled statistics from this one, and add it into the horse on the baby. Now it's going to roll randomly, so it might not show up as a level 152 horse, but it's possible that it will, because we want to add those points in. So if we were to roll a baby out of these two, what we would want to happen is we would actually want a combined total of 30 points on that top row, because what you do is you add the far left plus that middle row, and that yields your total points inside of the animal. And the same thing on this side. If we were to get the 2 points in this guy, we would want the 27 plus the 2, and that would give us a total of 29, which would mean that we would raise this one's health overall by those bonus points. So it no longer matters what you're actually adding in. You just want the maximum statistics available. So 96%, we're about to find out if we got any sort of luck at all. And 3, 2, 1. Oh, we got twins. Let's go. Okay, cool. So let's see what we got out of this. Did we get anything good at all? So there's 1. And yes, some of you immediately are like, oh, level 60s, these are terrible. Not necessarily, right? Let's look at them. All right, so what I want you to see in these guys, this is perfect. So we got the 28 points in health from the mother. See how the 28 points, 1584. We actually got 1680 because we got the bonus 2. Wow, it's just going to be stuck inside of the other horse. Great, cool, whatever. You guys need to figure your stuff out over here. We had to have twins, huh? Whatever. This is literally perfect. I could not have planned this any better. Let's see what I get out of this guy now. And let's go ahead and turn off the mating here. I know it's getting messy, but that's kind of what the breeding process is like. So, all right, this is literally perfect. I couldn't have planned that any better. All right, so I want you to notice something here. This is the problem. The statistical probability of this horse is basically non-existent, because it's going to roll the statistics off the mother and the father. It's going to have a 55% chance on each individual roll to get the higher stat. So there's a 55% chance that it gets the higher health, the higher stamina, the higher food, the higher weight, the higher oxygen, and then the higher melee. It's not technically unlikely, it's very unlikely, actually it's not impossible is what I should say, to roll the worst stats of everything overall. So this one mutated, this one unmutated. Notice how this one right here rolled 0s across the entire board, kept 0 of anything, and ended up with a level 1 horse. Even though if I go inside of this, it still has the random mutation. This just shows you that it's not guaranteed in any way, shape, or form to get the better overall stat. It rolled a 0 points in mutation from the mother and 0 health from the father, which is crazy. The statistics of this horse existing has to be like 0.1%. It's kind of funny, actually. More reasonably speaking, what should have happened is we should have seen a horse like this that rolled some of the stats of all of them plus some mutations. So I'm just going to compare these two, right? So these are very similar horses with very vastly different results. So the father had 2 points in melee. This got, or 2 points in health. This got 0 stats of anything. It took all the father stats and 0 mutations. This one, however, rolled basically half the stats of each of them. It rolled the higher health, it rolled the lower melee, it rolled the lower food, it rolled the higher weight, it rolled the lower oxygen, and it rolled the lower melee damage. This one also added a mutation inside of food. Even though it rolled the father's food, it has 1800 food. So if I go over to the father, I should see 1500 food. So it's a lower food number plus the actual 1800. So it's, you can see that the points, there's 2 points added into the actual food. Now, where it's really cool is if you're actually trying to breed a super dino, you only care about a few statistics. When people are breeding Giganotosauruses on official servers, they want only, literally only lowest level possible with rolled into melee. Now, you're going to see some things like level 1s across the board with like 400 points into melee. That's amazing, right? So this is a perfect example. If I wanted to raise a health horse, this would be the prime candidate to continue breeding because it's got ones across the board, so almost no mutations. If I look at this, almost no mutations. I just have the 2 because of the one that got added in. And it's got the statistics from the father. So it's got the 28 wild health points that it got from the mother, plus the 2 mutation points that it got from the father. So adding those together, we have a total of 30 points on this horse. So what does that show us, right? That shows us that if you were to find a wild horse with 150 points into health, some random horse that's better than everything you have, you could then take the father horse or a mother horse with those 2 bonus points into it and add those points into it to make it 152. No longer does it have to be the case where you actually just get random stats and it has to be the maximum dino, maximum dino. You can literally take mutated points and put them on top of any wild dino you find. Now, the reason that that is a massive, massive addition is I could have 20 points into health on this guy, find a completely wild 0 mutations female, and add those 20 points in, and it only counts as 1 mutation because it's only mutated on the paternal side. So it gets all the paternal mutations and all the points from the mother. You can have some absolutely monster dinos. Now, I know that sentence probably was the most confusing thing you've ever heard, but it's what I'm talking about. I know this is a long video, but hopefully you've started to learn some stuff about mutations. Let's kind of do a quick cover up. Yes, there's a lot more that we could talk about, but I'm just going to do a quick summary and then wrap up my last point, and then I'll be done, I swear. So there we go. Level 1, level 1. If we have 2 level 1 horses that breed, you have no guarantee that they're going to have any stats higher. There's a 5% chance of mutation. That 5% chance of mutation could be on any individual statistic, and it shows up as a bonus 2 levels and a color change. Once that happens, you get a level 3 horse. Now, those level 3 horses, for example, would be here, and you can see that the random color, random statistic increase, that is a mutated horse. If you take that horse and then breed it with a level 1 horse, there's a 55% chance you're going to keep the better stat and a 45% chance you're going to lose the better stat in the offspring. If you keep the better stat, right? If I keep a better stat and I have a level 3 offspring and it's in the exact same statistic, I now have a guaranteed mutation on that horse. So if I have 2 horses with both of them have their points into the health, that means I have a guaranteed ability to keep that level 3 horse with health mutation alive. So that if they have the same statistic, both of the parents have the same statistic and the same mutation, that mutation can stay the same, and that horse is guaranteed to at least get that level, that increased level in health. Now, that's great and all, Teach. Cool. We're understanding all of this so far. Let's make it a little more complicated. If I take a level 3 horse with a mutation in oxygen and a level 3 horse with a mutation in weight, I could end up with a level 1 horse because they could roll the crappy stats from each of these parents, and I could roll a bad horse overall. Or I can get a level 3 horse with rolling one of those stats, or I can end up with a level 5 horse because I rolled both of those stats. I rolled the 2 points in oxygen and I rolled the 2 points in weight. So the maximum with 2 level 3s is a level 5, the minimum is a level 1, and more likely I'm going to get a level 3. Sweet. Now we're tracking how to combine mutations. Now let's add a couple more wrinkles into this thing. Once you add additional mutations in and you end up with something like a level 5 or a level 7 horse, we have multiple mutations in this horse. The same rule applies when breeding it with another horse. It's going to roll for the higher statistics. So if a horse has 1s across the board, I could have an offspring as low as level 1 or as high as level 7. Now, if they're both mutated, I could have a horse that's as high as level 11 because you can add a total of possible 2 points in, or I could have a horse as low as level 5 because I could roll crappy stats across the board. Wow, that was a lot to say. Now, all right, so now we understand how mutations move, how they roll, how they change, all that kind of stuff. Now, how do mutations stack? Now, how mutations stack is when I get, if I was to take this health mutation with another horse and I get another health mutation on top of it, I would have a 0-4-0 for the health, which means I have 2 mutations in health for a bonus total of 4 points. So what I want to make sure is I keep my mutations limited. If I have a total of 20 mutations, I am no longer to get mutations on one side or the other side. So if I have 20 mutations on the maternal side, I can no longer get a donated mutation from the maternal side. If I get 20 mutations from the paternal side, I can no longer get donations for mutations from the paternal side. In order to add in a brand new dinosaur, you have to find a dino with 0, 0, and then you can add mutations back into it because a dinosaur can donate its lineage against another lineage. Now, I know that's very confusing. Basically, in order to get a mutation, you have to have less than 20 slots available on either side. So see how there's 2 and 4? I have 16 slots left and 18 slots left over here to get mutations. Now that we've got all that, stacking mutations I mentioned a second ago, you can stack. What you want to be able to do is I want to be able to stack up to a total of 40 mutations on top of whatever I have. I want 20 from the mother, 20 from the father into the bonus stats. So let's say I've got a 40-point horse, right? I want to add 80 points in, and then I want to clean it and then add 20 more, then clean it and then add 20 more, and clean it and add 20 more at a time. So that is how this game kind of gets out of control with its mutations and breeding. Now, this is a very entry-level breeding guide. I just want you to understand that. There are lots more concepts and advanced concepts that we can go through, like examples of you can only have 1 male horse to 4 female horses breeding at a time, or any creature to 4 females, and then that is your best statistical chance. And then you roll it down the line in order to get a good chance of a breeding. Now, once you start stacking, you want to be able to clean the lines, is what I was talking about. Basically meaning you get a brand new wild horse in there and you add the mutations into the wild horse, and that gets you a half of the side free because you can't have mutations on the maternal or paternal side. Sorry, I had to cough there real quick. But that is a very basic explanation of how breeding works inside of Ark Survival Ascended, because they have made it so I can take any mutation from any creature and add that into any level dinosaur. So if I've got a level 21 horse and it's got 20 mutations into health, I might want to take that horse and breed it into a level 100,000 because I can get those bonus 20 points added into health, which is a little bit of a bonus in the long run. Oof, that was a lot of speaking. Now, everything there, hopefully that made a little bit of sense to you. Hopefully you picked up something from any of that. And if it's confusing, I'm sorry. The breeding in this game is incredibly confusing. I tried to break it down as simple as possible and do as many summaries as I can, but it's a lot. If you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing to the channel. I'm going to try and get some more advanced breeding tutorials out there so I can go into some of the other concepts, but this should help you a lot. So hopefully this video helped. Teach out.